Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm so excited to have another guest here in my studio. Her name is Cathy and she is 60 years young, and when I asked her if she was willing to do this video, she graciously said yes. And then I asked her what areas of concern she had or what she would like help with. And she has a great collection of Tarte products. But she said she was having difficulty kind of pulling especially all of the various face products together to give her the coverage that she wanted, but yet not have it look cakey and makeup-y in certain areas on her face. So that is our main challenge today. Now, I was excited to see her eyeshadow palette that she already owned was the Tarte in Bloom palette. So a couple videos ago, I did a 3 looks 1 palette with this palette. So I'll link that below. But today I'm going to use that same palette to create yet another look for her. And she wanted something that is very everyday appropriate. So that's what we did. Very simple look on her eyes. And then we're gonna focus much more on her skin. So if you want to see how I pull this look together using all of these mostly Tarte products, then just keep on watching. So we're going to work through some of the skincare as well. This is the maracuja oil. When you purchased these products, you said they did a great job putting it on your face, but you got home and you were kind of lost, right, as to what to do. Okay, so I put 3 drops in my hands, and now we're just going to press it into your skin. And you don't have super dry skin, right?
No.
But you just want
normal,
to
dry in spots.
Okay. And those particular spots, I know she was telling me a few spots that tend to get a little dry with foundation over it. We're just going to press a little extra of that oil in. You also have the eye cream, which we will just apply a little bit and use your ring finger and look up. And we're just going to tap this under the eye area. And again, you want to give your skincare products time to soak in before you put makeup over them. So one of the products they selected for her was the Shape Tape eyeshadow primer. And she said she's been a little mystified of how to use this product, whether to apply it directly to the eye. Sometimes with these stick primers, I like to first put it on, put it on the back of my hand to warm it up. This one's pretty soft, but sometimes it can stick if it's not warmed up first. So I would recommend just put it on the back of your hand first, warm it up, and then apply it with your finger. And that way you don't get too much product on your eyelid, but it will soak in a little bit and apply smoother. Okay, so lo and behold, look what palette she already owns. If you've watched any of my videos recently, you'll know I just did a 3-1-1 with this. So I'm going to use, this is just a Sedona Lace EB09. I'm going to use a little bit of, I think just this shade, which is Charmer. And close. We're just going to use this lightly kind of all over the lid. We're giving her a very natural kind of everyday look today. So this is going to set the primer so it's not tacky, and it'll make our shadows blend in more of a diffused way over the top of them. Okay, then I'm going to take, this is one of her brushes. This is the IT Cosmetics All Over Shadow Crease brush. It's a dual-ended brush. All right, so we're going to go in with Jet Setter. She is more of a cool-toned skinned girl. So we're going to use a little bit of those cool tones. And I'm just going to bring this. She has a pretty deep set crease, so we really don't need to create a crease for her, which is really nice. Those of us who don't have a crease are envious, aren't we? So we're just going to bring this in kind of the outer part of the crease here. And I'm going to sweep this onto the lid as well, about halfway across. And then on the lid, I'm going to use a little bit of this shade. She said she's never used this one, and it's Funny Girl. I'm going to use a fluffy brush. So this is just going to give us a wash of a little bit of some shimmer here. But we don't want anything too intense. This is daytime, but just going to bring a little light to kind of the lower part of the lid. And then I'm going to clean off that brush and go back in with our Brow Bone Highlight Color Charmer. And I'm going to use this right in this inner part just to open that up a little bit. She has a little bit of texture on the inner corner of her eyes that she doesn't want to highlight too much. So that's why we're going to go in with a matte shade here. And I am just, if you want to turn there, I'm just going to press the brush right in the corner and kind of going up. So we're not going to pull it over the textured part, but just brighten this part of the eye a little bit. So then when she got this, the makeup artist who did her makeup had recommended she use one of these dark liners wet. So, but what she found is it got hard pan, so we scraped it off, and I'm going to use this brush. This is It Cosmetics. It's the Smudger liner brush. So we're going to use the liner side, and I'm just going to go in dry. I think you can get a pretty good amount of color from this palette dry. And this is the shade Activist, so look down. Yep. And I'm just going to smudge this right into the roots of the lashes. And we'll give her some definition, but not anything too harsh. And we're going to kind of just stick with her eye shape here. And I am going to take this outer corner just up slightly. And then I'm going to pull up that brush ever so lightly to help this blend into our lid shade. And then I'm going to take that same brush and go over the top of it with, what's this called? Rebel. And use this just to further soften that line. So I'm kind of going right above where that dark line is. Okay, so you can see kind of we've got defined lash line and non-defined. So just a touch more of that shimmer shade in the center. Okay, and then I'm just going to go back with a little more of Jet Setter and a crease brush. Just blend this outer corner a little more. I'm just going to take a little bit of that same shade Jet Setter on her lower lash line. Look up for me. And I don't know if you're used to doing any shadow down here. Do you do shadow?
Yeah.
The lower lash line too. She's got those beautiful blue eyes. And actually, I'm going to go in with just a touch of this reddish brown shade, which is Leader. And this will kind of pop your blue eyes a little bit more. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and clean up under the eyes. We'll go back and do mascara after we clean up and everything, but let's go ahead and clean up under the eyes. She uses the Mary Kay eye makeup remover, oil-free. So we'll just use this on a Q-tip and clean up. So this is, we have let the oil sink in. We've cleaned up under the eyes. So the next product that she has is the Smooth Operator from Tarte. And I kind of have had mixed experience with this myself. So the trick with this is you really only want to use a tiny little bit of this. And really, you don't really have enlarged pores or anything like that. And that's where I feel like this one is best, with a little bit of enlarged pores. Now, what we will do though is I'm going to press a little bit here between my fingers. And we're going to place a little bit here on our chin And it's supposed to help kind of disguise texture on the skin. So, but I would not recommend putting this all over your entire face because you don't need that. So we're just gonna do a couple of spots there that have a little extra texture. This doesn't actually feel too textured at the moment. We'll put a little tiny bit here. And you want to kind of almost press the product in. Don't rub, because then it will start pilling. I don't know if you've ever had that happen, where you start getting those white pellets all over the place. So just in a couple of areas that you feel like you want a little extra smoothness. So we'll do a little bit here. Just almost, you can feel, I'm just kind of pressing that in, but just the tiniest little bit. So she has a little bit of some pigmentation, a vein right to the side of her mouth that we want to help her conceal. So I'm first going to go in, this is the MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot, and we're going to try this trick to help the color corrector and foundation adhere better to this section. We are going to go around the edge of her lips later with the paint pot as well, but I'm just going to use this almost like you would an eyeshadow primer. So we're going to set that on there. And then I'm going to go in with a color corrector. So if you have any pigmentation, you want to, if you go in first with a color corrector, you can use less concealer. So we're going to go with something the opposite of the color wheel. So we're going to go in, this is kind of a peachy pink shade. So I've got a little bit of that on my little palette here. So we're going to go over the top of that spot with a little bit of color corrector. And the goal with the color corrector is, again, you want something the opposite of the color wheel. So if you've got some redness, you would do green. If you've got blue tones, you're going to do more salmon. If you've got purple, a little more apricot orange. Okay, so you can kind of see, can tell that it is a little bit, it's much more disguised. So therefore our concealer doesn't have as much work to do. Okay. So we're gonna try that. And then under your eyes, you've got a little bit of some redness and blue tones there as well. So we're gonna do a little bit of that color corrector as well. I'm gonna go in though with the lighter, more of this peachy tone first. But again, this is going to do a lot of the work for us so that we don't have to apply too much concealer. The foundation that she's been using is the Tarte Shape Tape Hydrating Foundation. She is in the shade Light Neutral. And this is the one she's kind of had mixed experience. Sometimes you feel like you get good coverage and other times no, right?
Yeah, for the most part it doesn't seem like it's a full coverage.
Right. So we're going to try and get her a little more full coverage. Now typically she's been applying it, well she's tried it with the Tarte sponge, and then you though typically do it with your fingers, right? Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to do just half your face at once. And I'm going to use the EcoTools Beauty Sponge. This is one of my favorites. And I'm going to just press this into the skin. All right, so that is one layer with the sponge. Now I want to do the other side with a brush, and we will see if there is a difference and which you kind of prefer better. So typically a brush is going to give you more coverage, but I know you had some different advice. So this is just the Up and Up from Target. It's a dense foundation brush, and I think you'll be able to see. Now you do have to be careful. You can do a combination of brush and sponge, which is maybe what we'll do here. So once you get the foundation applied, then you can go over it with a sponge to make sure that it doesn't look caked on or anything. Okay, and then what I would do is then just go over kind of the areas where you've got a little extra texture and use that sponge just to pick up any excess that you don't like. I don't know if you can tell a difference between the two sides. So your coverage here with the sponge versus more coverage here. Can you tell a difference between the two? So let's go ahead, we're gonna add just a little extra here. Now, we're gonna go ahead and go to concealer, and then we'll kind of do some spot concealing on the face too. So she has the Tarte Creaseless Concealer, Maracuja Creaseless Concealer, and I'm going to apply this actually with my fingers. Do you normally do finger for your concealer? And this one, you kind of got to warm it up. Okay, then I'm going to use a little bit of the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. This stuff, once it sets, it stays like no other. So this is the shade NC20. So I would probably recommend NW20 for you, but we're gonna try and make this work. And I'm gonna go in with this tiny little eyeliner brush. This is the 772 from Sedona Lace. So you can even go to the craft store and get a paintbrush and use this. So we're gonna use this to spot conceal a couple of spots. And a lot of times people will like do the whole area. So then you've got these spots of concealer all over, and we don't want to do that. Now, you may not do this on a daily basis, but once you get the hang of it, it doesn't take too long, but it can just kind of give you that little extra coverage. And then we're just going to tap it in with our finger. Now, Cathy has how many grandchildren?
8.
8 grandchildren. Aw, can you believe it? She's a grandma 8 times over. She's a young grandma. So when you first put your makeup on, you know, it can look like, oh, I don't know. Just let it sit on your skin a little bit. And then what we're gonna do is we're going to take a little bit of this setting spray. So she was also convinced to purchase the Ready Set Radiant by Tarte, and she's not really used this much, right?
Yeah, a few times.
So close your eyes, and I'm going to do just a little bit of this before we've done blush or anything. I'm going to take my sponge, the clean side, and just tap that in those areas where we have a little bit of some texture. And then we can go back and do this at the end. But this one in particular, it does have a lot of moisture to it, and it has kind of a radiant finish to it. So it's not one, if you're oily skin, I would say probably don't use that one. But if you're of a drier, kind of medium to dry, normal to dry, it's really pretty on the skin. Okay. And then typically you said you do not use a powder, setting powder. Right. Okay, so I'm going to use, this is just a sample size. It's the Tarte Shape Tape Setting Powder. And we're just going to use a tiny little bit of this. I'm just going to use this Real Techniques little setting brush here. Tiny little bit of that powder. Some loose powder there. Okay, and then look up. And I am just going to very lightly, very lightly set a little bit of the under eye. So don't want hardly any powder on your brush. But with that creaseless concealer, do find it can be a little creasy. This is the shade of blush that they picked out for her, Risque. And this is a really pretty kind of neutral. It does have some peach undertones, but I'm going to use a Real Techniques blush brush. I love this brush. You can kind of get a real nice soft application with blush. You don't have to worry too much about going out of control. Now Cathy is also blessed with nice carved out cheekbones, so we really don't need to even do any contouring for her. Really nice. We'll just use the blush to kind of add a little bit of some color back to her cheeks. And then I'm going to do a little blush draping, as they call it. Just take that blush brush a little bit here on the forehead. And I always think that a little extra blush never hurt anybody. So as long as it's soft and it's not like this, you know, just a round ball on your cheeks.
Clown cheeks.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's really nice. And then I am going to show you what bringing just a tiny little bit of some contour around your forehead. So this is the e.l.f. Contour palette, and this is the light. They now have two different versions. This is the lighter of the two. So I'm going to go in with just a little combination of these two shades. All right, so for brows, she has this product, the Busy Gal Brow. How has this worked for you? Sufficient?
Pretty good, yeah.
You like it? You've got a pretty decent amount of hair. I am going to just bring in a pencil. This is the NYX Precision Brow Pencil in Blonde. Okay, so I'm just going to give you just a tiny little bit more definition right here. She does have, normally we get less and less brow hairs the older we get, but you've still retained a good amount of brows, so that's good. And let's see, what shade are you? Taupe? Yes, this is the shade Taupe. So now I'm going to have her curl her eyelashes, and I'm letting her use this one from Tweezerman. This is for round eyes. So she didn't love hers that she has. So I'm going to let her use this. So now we're going to apply some mascara, and we're going to go in with mascara primer. This is the L'Oreal Voluminous. You all know I strongly advocate for a primer mascara. So we're going to use this and look down. And then for mascara, we're going to use the L'Oreal Lash Paradise. And then I'm going to add just a touch of some highlighter on her cheeks. This is by Essence, the Pure Nude highlighter. This is their original one. And just going to add just a tiny little bit of some light here. Because you don't have pores here on the front of your cheeks, we can add a little bit of some light here. Gives you a healthy glow. Now for lips, we're going to go around the edge with the MAC Paint Pot. And this is in Painterly. I don't know if I said that before, but this is the more pink tone one. And I'm just going to go right along kind of where the edge. So Cathy said she has a hard time kind of finding the edge of her lip, knowing if she's going to use a lip liner, where to actually put that line. So we're going to use a little bit of this around the edge so that we can put that line wherever we want. So we can make your lips look full, and this will also help keep that liner in place. Then while we let that set, I'm going to go ahead and go over one more time with the setting spray. And then again with our little blender, just kind of tap that in. It smells nice.
Mm-hmm.
Very spa-like.
Yeah.
Like, so in her makeover, they sent her home with the Tarteist lip paint. And you said this does stay well.
Yes.
But as she found with liquid lipsticks, once they dry to a different color. And she's not real fond of that. So we are going to use a different Tarte lipstick. This is from their Rainforest collection. And this is the shade Salt Life. But first I'm going to go around the edge of her lips with the NYX lip liner in Mauve. And this is just one of my favorite kind of nude pinky shades. It has a little bit of some brown, so it's not bright pink, but I think it works well if you have cool tones in your skin like she does, or it even works for me with the warmer skin tones. And I'm just going to go kind of right around the edge. I'm cheating her lip line just a little bit here. All right, and then you can fill in your whole lip. I'm not going to do the entire lip, but that can also help the longevity of your lipstick if you have a less or a very emollient lipstick. But this one I think has good staying power. So we have and I think by going around the edge just with a tiny little bit of concealer, it further makes you believe that that is where the edge of your lips is. If that makes sense. So here is our finished look. She's got her glasses on. Now she can finally see what we did to her face. But overall, you said you felt like we accomplished more coverage for you,
Yes.
and that's what you were looking. So, I mean, you can still, it still looks like her skin, but I think some of your concerns, we just kind of disguise those a little bit. Yeah, good. And you like the lip color?
Yes.
It's not darkening and changing colors
Right.
by the second. Like sometimes those matte liquid lipsticks do. So,
Yes.
But this was fun. It was fun for me to use your products and kind of try and accomplish what you wanted with those products in a different way. So I just appreciate you coming on here. I know a lot of you as viewers are in Cathy's age group, and so hopefully we gave you some tips and tricks that you can try with your makeup as well. So thanks for coming
Appreciate it.
on.
Thank you.
Enjoyed having you here in my little studio. Always
Yeah,
fun
it
to
was fun.
get to know the ladies in my church in a whole new way, right? They come with no makeup and they're like, no! No, you're such a good sport, so I appreciate it.
Yeah,
So
thanks for doing it. I appreciate your help.
absolutely. Lots of fun. So, well, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.